Deep in the bustling city of Eldoria, amidst towering skyscrapers and bustling marketplaces, resided a quaint little apartment filled with the rhythmic clatter of tools and the faint scent of ozone. This humble abode was the sanctuary of Alex Rivera, a young inventor whose life revolved around his tinkering in the garage. At 25, Alex had already etched a niche for himself in the neighborhood. His creations, though often peculiar, were always imbued with a whimsical charm that brought smiles to his family's faces. Alex's latest creation was his magnum opus, a symphony of gears, filters and pipes christened the Aqua Bloom. His vision was nothing short of revolutionary. A device that could transform polluted rivers into drinkable water, offering a lifeline to remote villages grappling with water scarcity. But this ambitious project was more than just a hobby for Alex. It was his big break, the chance to step out of his family's modest home and into a world of recognition and purpose. He had meticulously planned and saved for years, piecing together $50,000, a sum that represented not just his life savings, but his hopes and dreams. The day of the big pitch was fast approaching, a startup expo at the city's Grand Convention Center, an event that promised exposure to venture capitalists and environmental NGOs, the very people who could propel his idea into reality. Alex's heart pounded with anticipation and a dash of fear as he unboxed the Aqua Bloom on stage. The device whirred to life, its array of lights flickering with what he hoped was promise. Then disaster struck. The filtration system clogged up instantly and with a dramatic flourish. It began spewing murky water across the demo table like an impromptu fountain. A gasp rippled through the audience, quickly followed by snickers and whispers. One investor leaned forward and drawled, "That's not innovation. That's a plumbing disaster." Laughter echoed through the hall, and Alex felt his cheeks burn with humiliation. He mumbled an apology, hastily packed his now soggy prototype, and fled to the sanctuary of his tiny apartment, where he collapsed onto his bed, tears streaming down his face. The following morning, rejection emails piled into his inbox, each one a sharp jab of disappointment. "Not viable," one read. "Back to the drawing board," said another. Alex's big break, the opportunity he'd toiled for years to reach, had turned into a humiliating setback. Worst of all, his $50,000 investment was gone, vanished into a tangled mess of tubes and disappointment. Friends he'd confided in about his big plans either offered pitying glances or awkward consolations. Some stopped returning his calls altogether, while others openly discussed his delusions of grandeur behind his back. Days bled into weeks, and Alex found himself stuck in a cycle of despair. He took a dead-end job, stocking shelves at a warehouse, spending his waking hours surrounded by boxes, staring at the clock. Each tick-tock was a reminder of the time slipping away from him. At night, he'd lie awake listening to the rain drumming against his window, each drop echoing the beat of his disappointment. The vibrant, passionate young inventor was slowly fading away, replaced by a hollow shell haunted by the jeers from the expo. One particularly dreary evening, as Alex trudged home with a soggy grocery bag, he bumped into an old acquaintance, Professor Alina Vasquez, a former engineering professor from his college days. Alina, who had built her own solar empire after a series of early career flops, had become a successful entrepreneur despite a rocky start. Seeing the defeated slump of Alex's shoulders and the haunted look in his eyes, she knew something was wrong. Over steaming mugs of coffee in a dimly lit diner, Alex poured out his heart, his voice cracking with emotion as he recounted the story of the aqua bloom. Alina listened patiently, her gaze kind but unwavering. When Alex finished his tale, defeated and dejected, she reached across the table and placed a worn leather notebook in front of him. "Failure isn't the end, Alex," she said softly, her voice like warm honey. "It's data. My first solar panel prototype, well, it exploded during a demo. Singed my eyebrows clean off, but I dissected it, figured out why it failed, and iterated. Fix that valve design. And remember, every titan of industry has a graveyard of ideas buried behind them." Her words were like a lifeline tossed to him in the dark waters of his despair. For the first time since his big failure, Alex saw the aqua bloom not as a laughingstock, but as an incomplete work of art, a puzzle waiting for its final piece. Inspired, he thanked the professor profusely and hurried home to his cluttered apartment/workshop. He quit his warehouse job the following day, pouring all his energy and focus into redesigning the aqua bloom. He roamed families' cramped quarters and rummaged through dusty boxes filled with salvage parts, finding treasures like discarded stainless steel mesh that he could repurpose. To fund his work, he took on odd shifts as a freelance web coder, working grueling split shifts that left him with little time for sleep. Yet, he didn't care. Each tweak, each test brought him closer to success. Nights blurred into weeks, and his apartment became a whirlwind of activity. Days were spent scavenging, designing, and testing. Nights were filled with the clatter of his tools, and the hum of the aqua bloom as it ran, leaked, spewed, and occasionally worked. It was grueling, but the progress was undeniable. The new filtration core was smaller, more efficient, and could be disassembled for easy cleaning. After countless trials in a sink, in a local pond, and finally a simulated river set up in a rented warehouse, it was ready. Though Alex's friends remained skeptical, some even questioning his sanity, he pressed on, undeterred. On a blustery afternoon, 18 months after his humiliating setback, Alex stood once again on the familiar stage in the Grand Convention Center. The hall was buzzing with the same faces that had jeered at him before. Yet this time, there was a new glint of interest in their eyes. As Alex flipped the switch, crystal clear water flowed steadily from the tap, cascading into the waiting container. There were no splatters, no leaks, just the steady drip of pure water. A stunned silence fell over the audience, quickly replaced by murmurs of surprise and approval. An NGO representative approached him mid-demo, her eyes shining with excitement. "We've been looking for something like this for our African projects," she exclaimed, handing him her business card. "I'm from AidSource International. Let's talk." Within weeks, a $200,000 seed round had poured into Reverved Tech, the name Alex had chosen for his fledgling company. Investors who had once snickered at his plumbing disaster were now lining up to get a piece of the action. Alex relocated his company to a sunny corner office overlooking the city, a far cry from his cramped apartment. His reward for perseverance, the knowledge that the aqua bloom was making a real difference. Over the next 5 years, the aqua bloom was installed in villages across Southeast Asia, purifying water for thousands and slashing disease rates by 40%. Local communities, once burdened by the daily struggle for safe drinking water, were now thriving. Alex's work didn't go unnoticed. He received the Environmental Innovator of the Year award in 2025 and a coveted TED Talk slot in 2026. By 2027, Reverved Tech was valued at $10 million. Today, at 30, Alex Rivera sits at the helm of a thriving company and a global movement. Though he still faces challenges and setbacks, he knows that every obstacle is just another data point on his path to success. He continues to mentor young inventors, sharing his notebook of failures as a badge of honor. "Don't fear the fall," he tells them. "It's how we learn to fly." Alex's story echoes through the corridors of Eldoria's tallest buildings, a beacon of hope for those daring to dream big. For in the heart of this bustling metropolis, it's not just the mighty oaks that find purchase. Even the smallest seed, nurtured with care and determination, can grow into a towering redwood. Moral: failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it. Embrace the stumbles, learn from the setbacks, and keep moving forward. Your triumphs are waiting just beyond the horizon.